Okay, in this video we're looking at bringing cloud data into Solid Edge. So there's a additional Word document for this as well. So this is available. So if you want PLM, it's in the Solid Edge support section, useful docs. So what we're going to do, we're going to use Cloud Compare. So the link is in the appendix on the doc on the bottom. If you haven't got the doc, it's danielgm.net/cc/release. You should find the appropriate Cloud Compare. I'm on 2.12 alpha, 64-bit. Make sure you choose the right one for your machine. So we're going to go to our file open. We're going to find the appropriate file that we want on here. So I'm going to go through and find I want to do 002. I haven't done this one before. So we're then going to go, we've got our different orientation options on here. So it's asking for, do I want to translate this? I want this to go at the center on mine, so I'm just going to leave those as they are. And I'm just going to click yes on there. That's then going to bring the mesh in there. So if you use the left mouse button, we can spin that around and see what that looks like on there. We can reorientate this in Solid Edge later. So for now, that's all we're going to have a look at in here. So now we've got that. We're going to go and select that on there. And then we're going to use the save button on here. So the default option we're going to do is ASCII Cloud, which allows us to save it as different formats. So once we do that one, we're going to go and I'm just going to call that A. We're going to save that, and it's going to give us some choices. We're going to decide on our precision. Our scale, these come 8 and 6 by default. I'll just drop these down a little bit. Spacer for our separator, and we're going to decide what style format. So just make sure those settings are the same as mine on there, and then click OK. So you can see we've got 8.2 million points on there. Not great taking that into a non-point cloud tool. Okay, so now we've finished that, we're going to go into MeshLab. So I've got a new project open here. You'll probably find you won't get your project panel open until you import something, so just that'll pop up later on. So if we go to File, Import Mesh, we're going to choose that mesh file that we've just created on there. I'm going to click OK. We're going to get this little box come up. So separated, we did it as a space. Format that we've done. So on this one, we've got this XYZ RGB reflectance. So if we make sure that's the option, that's how we've saved it. And then we'll click OK. That'll then take a few seconds. We'll start to get some information pop up on the right once that comes up. Just give that a few seconds to come in. Okay, so now we've got our point cloud in Solid Edge. You can see we've got the colours on there as well. You can see it almost looks like we've got reflections and shadows in there. Pretty good. So what we're going to do, we're going to go to filters. We're going to go to our point set option. A few different options that we're going to have a look at. We've got this compute option, and we've got this point cloud simplification. So I'm going to do this simplification first. Otherwise, if we do our compute normal, so point sets, that's going to take an hour or so to run on 8.2 million points on there. So number of samples. So I want to set this to, so 100,000 is going to kind of take that down to like probably 100,000 vertices. We don't want that. We want a couple 100,000 at least on there. So I'm going to set this to, let's go 600,000. We can always redo this, so we'll see if we do need to redo this or not. So we're looking in this little box down here to see how long that's taking. Sometimes we've got a progress bar, sometimes we don't. There you go. So 5.9 seconds to do that. You can see we've now got 142 on there. So I want a little bit more than that, so I'm going to right click on that, delete that current mesh. Now we're back to our original mesh on there. I'm just going to run that again. So I'm going to go to filters, point set, point cloud simplification. I want to go 800,000 on this one. Apply. So it should probably take about 10 seconds this time. You can see that. Actually took less because it's actually simplified it less on there, and then close that. So we can see what that mesh looks like now. So if you use Photoshop, you can untick and we can see what that mesh looks like. So that hasn't made a huge difference on there. So if I go and swap those over, original, new, there's not much difference. So that's actually really good. So I'm going to turn that one off. 170, so I was aiming for 200,000, so I'm not too far off. So now we're going to go into that filters option again. We're going to use the point set option, compute normals for point set. Stick with the default options and then click apply. So applied filter, compute normals for point set. So that's done that really quick. And then we're going to close that. So we're always working on this point set on here. So next we're going to go to filters. Now we've got our normals and our points, we can go and create a mesh around that. So for this time we're going to use this remeshing, simplification and reconstruction. And we go down, I always just look for ball pivoting, because that's quite hard with all the S's on there. So look for ball pivoting on there. Stick with the default settings and just click apply on there. It's going to have a little scroll. So that's why we shrunk that down from 8.4 million down to 170,000. You can see this is still going to take about 30 seconds to run through here and create this into a mesh for us. Okay, so there we have it. 206 seconds, so maybe a little bit longer than I thought on there, but now we've actually got a mesh. So if we go on there, turn our point cloud off, we've now got a mesh on there. So we can use these as a little filter. So we can show the mesh and we can show the point cloud that we started with on there. We can do that on just the layer as well if we need to. So that's the actual mesh that we've now got. So we can now use this mesh and take this in Solid Edge. So if we go to File, Export Mesh As, we're going to save this as a STL. So I'm just going to save that as 002 because that's the one it was actually called. And then we'll save that, leave those options as they are. Color coding means that we do actually get these colors come through in Solid Edge as well, which is what we want. So we've now got that saved in 89 milliseconds on there. So if we now go into Solid Edge and we browse for this file, so we can see we've got our different STL. So that's the one that we've just done. That's the right timing, I believe. And open that. Choose isometric part and click OK. Ideally, we have our part template set to synchronous, so we can easily just move this to the center location if we need to. But we set our center, so we should actually be centered on this one. It'll take a few seconds, and then that's going to pop up on there. So the best option to do on here is to hide our reference planes on those, and then do a fit command down there. That's going to bring those items centered on there. Be careful what you're doing with your mouse. Make sure you're using the appropriate options on there. And then just use your middle mouse button, and we can spin that around and see what that looks like on there. We can then go and use our reverse engineering tools if we need to. So we can go and use the align tool to go and align that to the center option, but that'll be a separate video. Okay, so we've now got the mesh data in Solid Edge. That's the end of the video. Thank you.